Hi, Wes Scott from Lifeback Law Firm. Today we're going to talk about exemptions and bankruptcy in Minneapolis, Minnesota. You know, when you file a bankruptcy in Minneapolis or anywhere in Minnesota, you have to choose a set of exemptions to protect your assets. And this is true whether you file Chapter 7 or 13. Just because the focus is not on your assets in a Chapter 13, we still have to know what you have and what you can exempt to figure out whether your plan is a confirmable plan under the code. But for bankruptcy purposes, for Chapter 7, where the focus is on your assets, we either use the Minnesota set of exemptions or the federal set of exemptions. They used to be really far apart. Now they're a little closer together. Thanks to some of our comrades who were able to push the Minnesota legislature into doing the right thing by updating these exemptions in Minnesota, which were ridiculously outdated. We're talking about protecting phonographs. That's how old this thing was. And then we got a little sliver of a change years ago when we got our legislators to protect a wedding ring, but they had this really cryptic language of, you had to receive it at the time of the ceremony. It just was weird, of course, as some of this is. But thankfully now the Minnesota exemptions are much better and much more up to date to reflect reality. And the reality is, the changes I think that were made to the statute didn't affect what your average creditor was doing to try and collect on a debt anyway, which nobody was taking somebody's snowblower. It was ridiculous. That was only an issue in bankruptcy. Nobody worried about your lawnmower outside of bankruptcy in Minnesota. I don't think I've been doing this almost 3 decades. I've never heard of a single creditor try to attach somebody's lawnmower in Minnesota or snowblower. Never. Now, I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I've never heard of it. So the exemptions are there to protect your assets when you file bankruptcy. The vast majority of assets that people own typically, in the vast majority of cases, are almost entirely exempt. And now when you have something that's non-exempt, it's a lot less than it used to be when the time is right. When you are ready to get your life back, reach out to Lifeback Law Firm. You're going to be so thankful you did.